What does that all mean? Grit, determination, those are kind of fuzzy words, but this is an actual example of how grit and determination and actually listening to investors really makes sense to get funding for an entrepreneur.
Welcome to She Invests. Join us every week for conversations focused on the growing number of female angel investors, the real unicorns. You'll hear from existing female angel investors, VCs, and fund managers on their investment thesis. From deal flow to exits, they will share the best practices that contribute to their success. Female angel investors will be equipped with the tools and resources to confidently activate their capital in order to make an impact in their community and the global economy. With your host, active angel investor and founder of Hera Angels, Dr. Sylvia Ma.
So today we have a fantastic angel investor and just a great startup advocate on She Invests. Very excited to have somebody in SoCal on the show. So Xandra Ortiz Laskowski is a startup consultant, angel investor, and startup advisor. She offers a unique expertise from over 25 years of diverse entrepreneurial experiences with large multinational tech companies, as well as startups as a founder, investor, advisor, and board member. As a startup consultant, she works directly with clients to develop a startup roadmap or help identify the most critical next steps. I love that. So she also assists in understanding the aspects of an early stage business and offer advisory guidance on the best frameworks to build and support the startup roadmap. But as an angel investor, which we're going to hear so much more about, and startup advisor, she's also worked with and invested in startup companies, advising on business plans, growth and revenue strategies, and company messaging, and key connections. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sylvia. I'm glad to be here.
I'm so excited that you reached out and getting to know you even more right now. So I really would love to know more about how you started in this whole startup ecosystem, advising and advocating for startups in your local community, or I don't know if you do it globally. So would love to know more about that.
Yes, well, I was introduced to angel investment through a friend who was part of a local angel group called Archangels here in Newport Beach. And she and I go way back. Our children went to school together, and she's worked for Goldman Sachs, Standard Chartered Bank, is a real estate investor. So her and I would go have coffee and talk real estate investments, like one of the few people in the world I could speak to about this and just learn from each other. So she brought me in, and the first meeting I went to, first or second meeting of Archangels I went to, I was introduced to a company called Allergies. And they had made a holistic, organic allergy lozenge, and my children suffered greatly from allergies. So I was intrigued. And with Nancy's tutelage and with her help and support, as well as another friend who is an attorney for startups, I was able to make my first investment. And to give a little background to that, in 2008, I started managing a portfolio. I wasn't happy the way it was being managed, and I had to basically go in and educate myself on how to do it. And that was very eye-opening, and I really enjoy that. And to this day, I manage all of our portfolio, all of our assets, our real estate, everything. So putting an investment, I can invest in a piece of art, I could invest in a boat, or I can invest in a small company. And my background, it was just a perfect match. I saw what was going on with Allergies, and I was very excited to be an investor as well as on the board. So that kind of started my whole journey into angel investment.
I love that. Board seats are really important because I think that that's somewhere that we can actually do more work, better work as angel investors for the long haul. So how has that, how did you advocate to get that board seat? How important is that in the establishment of that startup and the scale of that startup?
I invested, this was my very first investment. I had a choice to go directly and invest with a company or go through a special purpose vehicle, a group called XCap Angels out of Indiana. A good friend of mine runs that. So we had a group of people that were interested in the Allergies opportunity. And so with that tranche, I think it was a $100,000 tranche, we got a board seat. So we took turns. So of the investors in that tranche, we all took turns sitting on the board, being a part of the decision-making process of this startup company. And that was invaluable because number one, I advise startups to bring on board smart money. I mean, of course, if you're offered money, that's important, but it'd be great if you had someone that had the experience, had connections, understood what a startup needed in the beginning stages to help advise. So, or put on the board. So that is what we did. We wanted to protect our investment. So we asked for a board seat. We got it. So it's invaluable because you really get to see like the main thing, the burn rate. Are we using the money strategically? Do we have the right alliances? Okay, we have hiccups. Let's call on our knowledge and our connections to help out. So it's really great. And that was my first board position. So I learned a whole lot with this company, and I learned a whole lot what a board member really should be doing. So it was invaluable to be a part of that.
That's huge. I'm going to break that up into two questions because I love this. With the recent kind of debacles of Uber and the Silicon Valley VCs and angels, how important is that checks and balances for any startup to have that board seat that's, let's say, diverse?
Yeah, it's extremely important. The tricky part is you're not always going to get consensus. And as a board member, you're in there for a reason. You're in Uber, for example. Their board is very, very high caliber, with an Arianna Huffington, people like that. And so it's a place to come and talk about what is going on. How should we manage it? Whatever it is, good or bad, the opportunity or a challenge. You may not have consensus. So that's where it gets kind of tricky. You may have people saying, we advise we do this, but then something else is put in place. So that's like bigger companies, it's a little more difficult. Smaller companies, it could be challenging because if the CEO is not coachable, we've got problems. And you really don't know that until you're on a board or you're advising the company and you're going through some challenges or some growth. I mean, either way, because you have to give advice on, let's be smart about growth. You can't be everywhere. We've got to look at, I like to work in threes. Let's look at the three top strategic things we need to be looking at right now, this quarter, this month. And let's focus on those and make sure the team is focused and we're all in agreement on that because you're a startup and your time is finite. You can't be everywhere and everything to everybody. So let's be smart. So when CEOs rely on their board and actually listen to their board members and put a course of action in place, that's the optimal thing. That's what you really want to see. In reality, it doesn't really happen all the time.
I love that. And then that smart money aspect of it is something that comes up a lot. A lot of entrepreneurs are told, go after smart money. Investors tell other investors, it's all about smart money, smart connections. Can you dissect that a little bit for us? Maybe like the top 5 things that you look at for that smart money definition.
Right. So when I look to invest in a company, it's very important to do your due diligence. Now, everyone does it differently. One big piece of it is understanding the cap table. Okay. So how has the company been capitalized so far? And with that, are there board members or their advisors? Who are you working with today? Who are you looking to talk to come in as a potential investor? And it's not guaranteed, but understanding who's put the money in first and are they helping you out? And what I find is a lot of times it's more of a figurehead. We have so-and-so invested early on, but really they're running their own company. It's good to have that name on the board and the name as an initial investor, but in reality, they don't have a lot of time to lend to the company. So I like to dive deep and say, well, you have Roger on board and he's awesome and he's running this big multinational company. How often do you really talk to him and get advice? How often, what is his access? What is your access to him? And is he really helping you out? If I find it's more of a figurehead, we really don't talk to them. I just kind of put that in the back of my head. And I kind of drill down and see, who's active here. And I talk to those investors. What I'm finding is a lot of the time, I'd say 90% of the time, they're figureheads. That's not a bad thing because they can bring connections. So when I look to invest, of course, if you're an investor, and you can help out because it's in your best interest as well to make sure the company is successful with key connections. Besides being an investor and getting my piece of the equity, I also ask, do you need me to come on as an advisor? And if I do, I ask for more equity because that's a completely different role. Or do you want me just to be a silent investor? I make that very clear. And that's something that I think is very new to entrepreneurs. You can have investors that are active, that help out to a degree because they're busy, they're running their own things. Versus I'm an investor plus an advisor, which means I'm going to clear my plate to help out because I'm being given that incentive besides my investment to help out. I'm going to put more time into it. So when I go back and I kind of, these are all big moving parts when I look at an opportunity, but these are things I'm looking at. And these are people I'm talking to before I write that check.
I love that. You really dissected that really great. And I know that you also manage and are the CEO of OC Angel Investors. And you probably talk about that to the other investors that are part of your group, really walk them through what does that mean as a personal individual angel investor and as a collective. As you said, you were able to syndicate or connect with your first investment collaborators at $100K investment, and you're able to get a board seat. And I assume that you really talk to that a lot about with your angel investors and seeing how do we get the best thing for both sides of the venture table.
Right. And so we are very fortunate to back up OC Angel Investors. I launched that with my partner, Danielle Hahn, in January, group of 20 women and growing in Newport Beach. And these are women that we've known through professionally and personally who have watched my journey investing, and they became very intrigued that, oh my God, how exciting the companies you're investing in. You really get involved. They really loved it. But I would bring some of these ladies to my male-dominated angel groups. And not that that's a bad thing. I love my guys. But they just never felt comfortable in those rooms for whatever reason. And so Danielle and I realized there's a need for this. So we started the group. And with that, we partnered with Chapman University. Shan Steinmark, he runs the Leatherby Center there, which is a Leatherby Center of Entrepreneurship for all the students at Chapman and alumni. And he is offering free podcasts and free trainings to our members on how to make angel investment, how to do due diligence. And every month when we have our meeting, Shan comes up and talks at 10 minutes, a little aspect of due diligence. And it's very powerful. We do some exercises and it's engaging, and our ladies get it. Our members get it. We do bring, besides having the forum of connection and introduction to these opportunities, we have that support. One of our board members, Sarah Chambliss, is a lawyer at Manat, and she's put together a due diligence package that's very affordable for our members. If you decide, we always recommend to have legal counsel, look at the term sheets and understand, what needs to happen there. But everyone's different. Everyone's different on how they do due diligence, if they do it at all. But we do have that support and we have that education in our group. So yes, we do speak about, like, when you're looking at investment, of course, cap table is very important. Who's invested, who's involved, who's advising. We talk about that. But I like to keep it simple because it's a lot of information coming in. And I remember back in my early days when I was looking at term sheets, I had no clue what I was looking at, but I had very good counsel. And even then, I signed on the dotted line. I really quite didn't understand what it was until I did a few more deals and really, really understood. I might be unique in that way, but we do bring that support and that community. And I'm one of the mentors we've had a few women make investments and write checks since January. And we're very excited about that.
Absolutely love that, because I think that we need to activate capital in our regions, because that's the only way to really kind of get that critical mass of, I love that you have 20 members. That's fantastic. And really creating that ecosystem that will thrive for that female entrepreneur or a male entrepreneur, but really having that collaborative connection of female angel investors that have that mentorship.
This brings a different point of view to the table. On our board, we do have seasoned angel investors. Janice Hamlin is also a member of TCA. She's an investor. So we bring that point of view to light when we have, and one unique thing we do in our meetings, and TCA does this as well, we have a roundtable. So after the companies present, we ask them to leave the room. And then it's time for us to educate and we talk about the positive things, the things we loved about the companies that presented. And then we give back constructive feedback. And we actually write that down and give it to the company. And Danielle or myself, we sit down with the companies afterwards and kind of go through all the great things we loved and all the things that can be worked on. But that's also a time for our members to learn and to understand, oh my gosh, this other member has this connection over here. This is really good. And that kind of organically helps them network for future things. So we love doing that. And our members love it because it's a safe place. They can talk about, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand what they were saying. It went over my head. That's important for the company to understand, because if we're their target, if we are their consumer and we didn't understand what they were saying in their pitch, we need to give them that feedback. And to the pitch, I work with all the companies that come in. I work with them. I coach them. I look at their decks. I don't do a deep dive in due diligence. I just kind of briefly look and see, okay, this is their cap table. This is what they're looking. Okay, they're a good fit for our group. And then I pitch them. I said, you know what? This pitch deck is too long. You need to take these out. You have 3 minutes to explain what you do and pretend they're a bunch of third graders that have no clue who you are. You're a Martian. And you need to get them in 3 minutes to engage afterwards and ask questions. Most of the time they take my advice and they pitch what we've discussed, But sometimes we have companies that get nervous and they don't even use their pitch deck, or they completely change it and it goes over goes over our members' heads. So I've seen all kinds of things happen. But our last meeting in May, we had some great successes. We had 2 great companies present, and the ladies were so excited. The first one was CJ & Go, which is basically on-demand car service for women driving women. And that was founded here in Orange County. And then the other company was called Tot Squad. And it's basically an on-demand car seat stroller service, but so many verticals coming out of that. So it was really exciting. And both were great presenters, and we got a lot of buzz out of that meeting. But again, they were dynamic, they had their pitches down, and they went to town. That's where we see the most success. I believe both companies have due diligence going on with some of our members. So that's exciting.
That's very exciting because it's a small world. By the way, Tot Squad also pitched to us at Hera Angels, in January, and was able to get funded from us as well. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah, we syndicated with Seattle Women's Impact Fund, and we were able to have her get some funding. I'm actually her investor as well. So, so she's one of my portfolio companies. Isn't that a small world? I love that. Yeah, and she pitches really, really well, and I think that kind of attests to women who are angel investors really understand that business model and really understand, this will make an impact because it will change how we put in car seats. We will actually save lives if we, put in these car seats correctly. And of course, cleaning them, we know anybody who's had a child, you're like, oh my gosh, sometimes you don't even want to clean it. So I love that.
Do you ever clean it? I mean, like it's wipe it a little bit, she really hit on a place. She did her homework. She hit on a place, a white space that's going to marry up brick and mortar. They're having problems, right? And a company like an Avis is having problems because Uber's, eating their lunch and Lyft. So she really fills that void. And she has many verticals she can build off of this. So it's a very exciting time for Jennifer. And I'm really happy. I'm hoping that we can help close out the rest of the round. So it's exciting. It's exciting to see that and to help out.
That's awesome. And it's funny, she also won our Hera Venture Summit last year. So it was very interesting to see how, how these entrepreneurs, when they do it right, like you just said, when you pitch prep them, to listen to them, to be coachable, that does actually make sense. Because a lot of entrepreneurs and all of angel investors say, what does that all mean? Like coachable, grit, determination, those are kind of fuzzy words, but this is an actual example of how grit and determination and actually listening to investors really makes sense to get funding for an entrepreneur.
And it's beyond that. People need to understand your value proposition, right? Why you? Why now? Why this company? And that's another thing. It's like, because I'm seeing a lot of apps, we see a lot of apps that do this or that or whatever. And you've got to really be careful and weed through. There's a company that's going to pitch to us in September called Hi There. And it's basically a social app for cannabis users. And I was at the Roth conference in Laguna Niguel in February, March this year. And that was the roundtables that we had. All the discussion was, how do we capitalize on the growing cannabis market out here? No one really knew. We're talking big venture funds, family offices. They were all asking each other, what are you investing in? And what does this look? And it's kind of the wild, wild west right now because federally, it's not legalized, but in big states like California and Colorado, it is. And so these small companies are trying to, see how do we take advantage of this? How can we build a business here that's of value to the user, the cannabis user, and of value to the companies that are selling into this market? And Hi There was interesting because it's a social media platform. It's like a dating gamification thing. That's how you get in. But then they have so much reach and so many users that's when the advertising comes in, and the local cannabis providers can come in and, they geolocate. So I'm in, Newport Beach and I'm looking for some oils or whatever. Boom, here's the person right down the street that can deliver that to you. So that's what Hi There does, because social media, I didn't know this, right now you really can't advertise on Instagram or Facebook or, any of those places right now. So Hi There developed just for the need. They saw that there's a need out there. Eventually, maybe that'll change, but we're going to create that platform for this marketplace. So that's a real interesting one.
And I love that progression. I am always looking at the angel investor side, how you were able to go to this conference, understand a market need, and then the startup is going to be pitching to your female angel group. So as an angel investor, how can somebody know what, let's say, conference to go to? how do they get in front of the startups? How do you start doing that as an angel investor? I know that the village is so important, but how personally you were saying, how do I go here? What do I do here? How does that all go in your brain, and how do you get those connections?
Well, for me, because I'm part of 3 angel groups, Pacific Capital Network, PCN, TCA, and just through my network, people know that I'm an investor. So companies come to me all the time through connections I have. And that's grown over the past, 4 or 5 years I've been doing this. There's really no magic way. I always recommend join a group that you identify with, that you feel comfortable with. TCA, PCN, like TCA is very good about offering the education piece of it to their members if they want it. It's there. And that's what we're trying to build too with our OC. Being in touch with that first. Being a part of a group, Hera Hub, right? You have a fund, and I believe you have a group. So be a part of some kind of group if you're really interested in learning more. And that's where you're going to make those educational connections. You're going to learn about the companies. And just kind of do your education. When we started OC, I went onto the ACA, looked at, all the different groups that are here nationwide and in Canada, and kind of to understand what their models were, what the angel models were. And that's when we came up with how we were going to pull together and produce OC Angel Investors, kind of looking at what's been done before, what can we do that's a little different. And we're going to evolve too for our members. But we feel that what we're offering right now is exactly what they need because they're all new. They're all brand new, starting to cut checks, which is surprising me. After a few months, they're cutting checks. It's pretty exciting. I would just recommend to look into the ACA and look at a local chapter and maybe go to a few meetings. All these groups allow new people checking them out to go to meetings and understand what they're doing and what they're looking at.
Yeah, I love that because it is like the regional aspect of where you are as an angel investor is so important. When I started off angel investing, I definitely had mentors around the nation like you, and then said, okay, how do we create this angel group here in San Diego because we don't have one for female angel investors to activate. So that supportive environment that you're creating is awesome. I think that regionally, how is the innovation ecosystem where you guys are at? And how do you feel as an angel investor that you impact that innovation ecosystem?
Right now, we are working with the Chapman Leatherby Center, and we also work with the UCI Cove. Those are the 2 that are in my backyard. It's wonderful because we get introduction to new companies, number one, through those incubators. And we also have the support of Chapman with the training of our members. And with that, so our model is a little different. Some angel groups charge thousands of dollars to the companies presenting. And being an investor, because I'm writing a check, I don't want that to go, $20,000 spent on presenting to angel groups. I mean, it's kind of counterintuitive in my mind.
Amen to that.
And so what we decided to do, but Danielle and I felt strongly that they had to pay something. What we asked the companies to do if they want to present to our members is make a donation. So they make a $500 donation to, right now, the donation's pointed to Chapman, to the Leatherby Center. And it's a win-win because the companies feel they're just so happy to do that, because we're giving back to our local entrepreneur ecosystem. It's a bite-sized amount that they can afford. If you can't afford $500, maybe you're just a little too early stage for us. So that's how we've kind of moved around that. And we feel really good about it because we see the results without the entrepreneur programs that Shan is directing and developing out of Chapman. And then our board, we're going to meet, since we're so new, we're going to meet and decide, maybe we'll pivot that donation, quarterly to an incubator or to an organization that fits in the entrepreneurial ecosystem here in Orange County.
I love that because you're really rising the bar of what can be done in Orange County.
Yes, we're focusing local, although we have some members from LA, we have some members from San Diego. We're not looking just at Orange County companies. We'd love to support, and we do support companies that are founded here, but we look, at the opportunities, the companies that will really interest our members and vice versa. So there's a synergy there. So when we do the screenings, they initially come to me, the companies come to me, and I kind of look at it. I talk to some of our board members and I say, if I'm not familiar with it, what do you think of this sector? Do you think this is something that would be of interest to our members? And we kind of do a group discussion on that before we bring them in to talk to them. That could be Orange County founded companies, women. I mean, in a perfect world, we'd love to look at only women founded companies. But we realize there are still opportunities out there that we would understand that we are a consumer of, and we have to, broaden our reach there. Like CJ & Go was founded by a father for his daughter. So we got that. We're like, okay, we get this. We should have an opportunity to have a safe ride. So, things like that we take into account.
I love that. Yeah. One of my investment portfolio companies was for cervical cancer, and it was started by a male out of UCSD, MD, PhD. And I thought that was definitely part of my investment thesis is really going into like, how is it going to impact the women in my life and the women who are going to be, part of my generation to come. So I love that. What is your personal investment thesis going forwards from there? I know that a little bit more about the Angel Group, but what do you invest in particularly? And what is your thesis?
That's a good question. I get that asked a lot. For me, it's understanding the opportunity, whether that's a tot squad, who she's really, hit a nerve right now and it's really good, or a company like Emerald Logic. This is a company I invested in back in 2013. It's an analytic that helps in medical research. I just have to get it. If I get it, then I'm more passionate into understanding more of, what they're doing. So I've invested in consumer space, in biotech, in analytics, in apps, all over the board. So for me personally, I have to get it. I have to understand what is it that you're doing here that's so unique, that's going to, solve a big problem and understand the opportunity. Then it's the people. Who's running the show here? Are they coachable? Like there's a lot that goes into it for me personally before I write a check. It's kind of all over the board. It's really at the end of the day, I have to get it. If I get it and if you have my interest, then we go from there.
And then when you do go from there, how long is that due diligence process? Because every single angel is very different. So typically, what does that look like? Just to kind of give
it depends on the time of year, really. Because I literally, like most people, I rarely write a check during the summer because I'm spending time with my children. I just like to keep that, for them. And it depends on the opportunity. I've taken as short a time as, a few weeks of due diligence because I do have a process of due diligence. I have to get the term sheets, look at the cap table, who's in, how the use of funds, burn rate. There's a lot of things I need to look at, financials. And depending on what's on my plate personally, that could take a few weeks. It could take months. It just depends. And then I get back to my attorney and, I talk to my friends. What do you think of this sector? Have you heard of this company? It's all over the board. But angel investors as a whole are looking for a reason not to write a check. Their time frame is never the same time frame as the entrepreneur. It never is. And as an advisor, that's what I tell them. I said, look, it's great. You're getting in front of these angel groups and they're excited and maybe they're starting due diligence, but it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. You might have some success stories where it does. It's great. Jennifer is getting definitely some great traction but that's rare. Of the companies I see, maybe 1 or 2% are that zipped up where people are like lining up to write checks. It doesn't happen a lot. So for me as an angel investor, it's all over the board. I can see the opportunity, want to help close around, write a check sooner. If it's something that I want to kind of sit back and watch and see who's coming in, maybe I want to see a lead investor, a lead group, I'm going to do that. It just depends.
And you seek a lead investor. I know that why I asked for lead investor, but would like to hear from you is that what are the reasons why you would want a lead investor that's not yourself?
Yeah, like a TCA or a Hera Hub, like a group like that, a syndicate. That's important to see, especially if you find out that they are already doing due diligence as well. And if they subsequently write a check, that's bringing a lot of power. That's bringing a lot of information, a lot of connection in. It's going to help the entrepreneur that much faster. I have so many connections, right? But a group like that, bringing in a fund or a tranche coming in, that's really, really helpful. It's helpful for the company. It's helpful as an investor because you just have that many more, that Rolodex that you can look to through that group because they're making a big investment. They're going to be in there making sure that the entrepreneur has the tools that they need to do their job.
I love that. And as an individual angel, I've also seen introducing that entrepreneur that you're kind of on fire about to a syndication network or to TCA or to another angel group.
Yes. I do that quite often. Again, there's no guarantees if there's going to be the same interest level that I had. I do try to do that when I see a company of quality like Hi There. Hi There was amazing. They actually came to me through TCA. Yeah, TCA or PCN. I don't remember where. I've been in contact with the CEO. I'm actually looking to make an investment with them. I've been in discussion since April with them. And they've been giving me updates on all their milestones, which has been fantastic. But the one thing that leads me to another thing, the one thing I like to see is the founders, the skin in the game with the founders. Most of them, it's their money. It's their friends and family money. That's the original money. So that's important to see. I've seen a couple companies where the founders haven't invested. And of course, I won't write a check there. Not to say that I won't down the road, because for whatever reason, they didn't need to invest. I'm cautious there. But for the most part, for the most companies I see, the founders have made their own investment, and that's important.
dive deeper in that, because I get that question a lot, is that what does that look like for the entrepreneur? Because some entrepreneurs can't put any money into, but
Right.
how do you gauge that?
If I find that the entrepreneur hasn't written a check, but their father, their uncle, their cousins, all of their family members have, that's a good thing. I mean, it's a good thing in the fact that they're going to have some motivation there to really make this happen because they've leaned on these people that are very important to them. Someone's mortgaged a house, that kind of thing. So, but if I find that strategic people that have made investment, they're investing in that person, not to say that I won't make that investment. I just want to see how the round goes. Who's coming in? Are there other funds coming in? So I'm a little more cautious when that happens. It's very subjective. It's different for each opportunity.
Some entrepreneurs come to our Angel Access Hours, and sometimes when they say, well, I don't have anybody that can give me money. I said, but you've tried, and maybe it's even $25. I mean, I know that's very small, but something that you have somebody investing in your idea.
We've seen this. That's tricky, right? They'll close their first round and they need to go it's a convertible note. Now it's converting to an A because they're getting traction. Where do they go? I mean, it's all new, right? For most of these entrepreneurs, they've never done this before. So where do they go? Your first investors, but they could be jet lagged, or they could be just like, you know what, we're good. We're going to see who else, what other money comes in. That's a tricky part for the entrepreneurs, is really making sure that they're maintaining their burn rate, which is one of the main reasons why they go under. And they're very conservative and they're coachable there. Being strategic. And again, a lot of them have never run businesses and they're not really using their boards and their advisors very effectively. Having a strategic plan on who are we going to target for the next round. Let's create the buzz. And it's tough to do that because, again, they've never run companies. To sit down and put that kind of plan together, it's a tough one. But if they're smart and they have it in the back of their mind, and an advisor tells them, we need to do this, it's important, and they listen, that's going to save them a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in the next round.
Yeah. And I think that keeping those angel investors the first round informed is so important.
Yes.
That's why I tell my female angel investors who are a part of our network is that meet with your entrepreneurs and your startups on a regular basis, or ask them for some kind of information. And what do you do for your portfolio companies?
Right. And there's another company I've invested in called Network B. It's a digital platform for women. And I was shocked. I'm like, because we've seen Tastemade and we've seen, BuzzFeed, and there's a lot of digital platforms out there that are creating original content. Nothing that's really speaking to women, just directly to women our age, to women that are a little bit seasoned, that don't want to be sold something by a 15-year-old and we don't relate to. We want something smarter and something that's going to fulfill us. Wendy Sweetmore, the founder, amazing lady, she launched this network a few months ago, and I'm one of the founding investors in it. And it's just exciting to see how that's moving, how that's evolving. But she's really smart she did her homework. She did her homework on doing a digital network as a completely different kind of startup than, an app or a consumer good. She really did her homework before she did the launch and aligned herself with the right people to get the content, to get the platform up, called on favors. That's an exciting one. And just to see that, and I can be a big part of it because I can push out information just personally about the site. And as my friends look at it, I said, no obligation to look at it, but check out some of the content coming out. Let me know what you think. It's exciting to get that positive feedback. And as an investor, I'm invested. I want to make sure that they get the exposure as much as I can help out with.
Yeah. And I assume that she communicates really well with you about her milestones.
Yes, she does these wonderful updates. And basically she talks about, we've got this much money in. Thank you so much. We've brought on strategic advisors. Here they are. This is what they're doing. She keeps it brief. And these are the things we're looking to do in the next 2 months. And this is where I need your help. So she's very specific on great stuff, exciting stuff going on. We're getting the content, this and that. This is what we're looking to focus on. And this is where I need your help. Done. I'll do it. If you need me to push it out to 10 people, done. So she's very, she gives it bite-sized information, one little page. Now I know what I can do to bring value. So I love when they do that. Not a lot of startups do. I mean, they're all over the board with the updates, but I do always gently remind, we need to get an update here. And if you need me to help you put that together, I'm more than willing to help you put that together.
I love that because that's something that we can teach other angel investors. As you said, that your OC Angel Network does that. You want to educate new female angel investors of how to invest. And that's something that is an easy thing to just remind your portfolio companies to do that for you. And it can be really simple.
I have some great examples from a few companies I've worked with. And I always ask them, I said, you mind if I send them the example of what you send to me? Because it's so great and polished and they're not competing companies. And they're like, of course, that would be great. I'm very honored. I find that the companies that do that are more successful in their subsequent rounds. Going back to investors that invested in the first round, they see the traction, they see the growth, they're getting the updates. They're more inclined to put a little bit more in down the road.
And I also find as an active angel investor and going to ACA and let's say the conference that you mentioned way at the beginning is that as angel investors, we're also building our networks and we're talking to other angel investors. And if you do have that quick communication from your portfolio companies, then you don't know where you are and you're like, oh my gosh, that's a great connection for this person because I know exactly what they need.
Right. And I do that a lot. I have Cynthia Nelson is a dear friend of mine and she's involved in the startup world in New York. So she's one of the people, like when I see a company like BeatShare, this is one I invested in about 18 months ago, BeatShare. It's on-demand music, clips of music you can send on Apple messaging and stuff. I sent it immediately to her because she touches a lot of things out there. And she gave me some really great constructive feedback on it. I took to heart before I make the investment. You need to reach out to your connections all over the place because what they see is not necessarily what you're seeing. And it's good to know who the competition is out there because that's one of the pieces of due diligence. Like, why you, why now, who's your competition?
I love that. Anything else that you want to talk to us about of what you're doing, the awesome work that you're doing in Orange County and anything else?
Yeah, just, my mission this year, besides helping the companies I'm working with, is helping our group grow because this is an alternative investment. And we actually talk about that in our group. Like, what is an alternative investment? Number one, how does it fit there? The risk profile is just about as high as a hedge fund. This is something much more personal, something that you have direct control over when you make that investment. So that's really our mission this year is to continue with that education, build our membership. And again, it's not for everybody. So when we screen potential members, we want to make sure that they understand what we do, what's going on, and they're passionate about it. That's really just the goal the next 6 months to the end of the year for myself and for Danielle is to bring this value to our members and build our membership.
That's just great news. We're doing the same thing for Hera Angels is building that up. So we're kind of in the same tranche of building up that angel group. And it's so
we
important.
need to talk about syndicating because we're not there yet because we're so new, but that's on our goals for next year because there's some great women's groups to work together and, send deal flow. Like, here you go. Look at this company. We're looking to put some money in. You're looking to put some, okay. Let's see how we can maybe possibly do this together.
We're doing it already organically with Tot Squad. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then also, we have our Hera Venture Summit coming up in September 16th, 2017. And we have that every year. So we would love to have all your members there. We can talk about it offline, but really great summit that brings national angel investors and actually international as well. Our keynote is the CEO founder and CEO, Vicky Saunders. So really great time to talk with other female angel investors and even just like ACA Summit. I love going to that summit every single year and making sure that I get those connections done. So it's just a really collaborative environment that we're working in. I love this.
We'd love to go.
Yeah.
We'd love to attend. That'll be wonderful.
Good. So to wrap this up, I have 4 rapid fire questions because I ask this to everybody. First one is, what's your favorite angel investing resource?
Google.
Amen to that. I love that. Due diligence is Google.
Due diligence.
Whew. Yeah, I know. That's awesome. What's your favorite book?
Oh, that's a hard one. The one I'm reading right now is called The Third Wave by Steve Case. Right now, that's my favorite one.
That's awesome. I'm reading Option B. So from Sheryl
Sandberg. I'm in Option B too. It's so sad.
I know.
But her first book was amazing. And I'm glad she's written the second one.
Very vulnerable, which is really wonderful to experience as a reader. Yes. Who has been a major influence in your life?
I'd have to say originally, and this kind of brings me to who I am today. Her name is Cindy Bunch. And she was one of my managers way back in the day, 30 years ago when I was working in corporate America. Pivotal in my life because she taught me how to invest early on for myself when I was just single and working in the tranches. And she really taught me how to manage and how to look at business. So I'd say she was very, very influential in my life.
I love that. Mentorship is so important.
It is.
And what does abundance mindset mean to you?
It means, number one, be grateful in the moment. And when you wake up, be grateful that you woke up and be grateful with what you have, the blessings, the people you have around you. And then just be in the moment. I know it's hard when we have so many to-do lists and we have, conference calls and things going on, and you're wanting to do all these things for everybody, but just take some time out during the day and kind of breathe and be present. And then that way you can just kind of focus and do what needs to be done for the day.
I love that. So thank you so much for being part of the show. I have learned so much from you. Can't wait to kind of hear about all your other members and meet them and see what all of this is going to come out with all the investments. Definitely Tot Squad would love to learn more about why and how you're going to invest in that, and also all the other startups that are coming through your angel group. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. So blessed to have you and learn so much about what you're doing.
You're very welcome, Sylvia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We just had Zandra Laskowski, who is a phenomenal advisor and educator for startups and angel investors. She gave a wonderful insight into angel investing in the right startup that, 1, the CEO is coachable, 2, can articulate their value proposition well, and 3, that term sheets, cap tables, and burn rates are acceptable to investors. For seasoned angel investors, Zandra said to request a board seat or advisory positions because there are powerful and excellent ways to make more strategic impact into the growth of the invested startup. And then she says for mostly the emerging angel investor is to join a local angel group, like her new OC Angel Network in Newport Beach, or others like Hera Angels and TCA. Through mentorship and education, Zandra aims to grow her OC Angel Network and make an impact in the global startup world. Thank you for listening to and subscribing to the She Invest podcast. Go on over to sheinvest.com for the full show notes for this episode, as well as any resources, websites, and opportunities mentioned during the show. Sign up for the sheinvest.com newsletter to learn about events like our annual Hera Venture Summit during the month of September and our She Invests monthly investor circles. Thank you for your time, talent, and treasure.